Hello everyone, how you all doing? As for me, I'm okay. I can't complain. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you all how I was able to achieve this beautiful look on this beautiful client. So before we continue, please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share. So the first step to every makeup, my normal routine is to clean the face, right? To make sure we remove any dirt on the skin. So I'm using my Adventure micellar cleansing water and my wipe to do so. So after cleaning my face thoroughly to make sure the skin is free from every dirt, the next thing is to hydrate the face. So after hydrating the face thoroughly with my moisturizer, so can you see I'm using my Moist Essence moisturizer from Blossom Makeup. The next thing I'm doing is to prime the face. So I'm going to apply the Mismetic Aqua Grip Primer all over the face except the under eye. So with the aid of my flat face spread brush, I just applied all over the face. And then I just turn on my fan. There's a fan sitting directly in front of her. I just turn on my fan for it to dry it up. Then I use my Kiss Beauty Fix Spray to melt down everything. So for foundation, I actually use two shades of foundation, the Veebeauty foundation and the Adventure foundation. Then I use my soft and damp. When I say soft and damp, it means it should be wet, but when you squeeze it, water shouldn't come out from it, right? So I'm using my soft and damp beauty sponge to push the foundation gently into her skin, right? Gently, making sure everything is uniformly distributed. So for contour, I'm using my ZK foundation. Normally we have to use you could use one shade darker than your skin or two shades. So I'm using one shade darker than her skin, right? So I just apply around the upper of the cheek. Sorry, not upper of the cheek. I applied underneath the cheekbone. Those are the area we contour. Can you see? If you cannot picture it, just look at where your ear begins, like from up. Then try to calm down. Use your finger to just calm down, right? To like rule a line, a horizontal, a slanted line, yeah, from where your ear begins. I think that should be where the under of your cheekbone lies, right? So after that, I'm going in with my blush, which I use what's the name of this shade? It's just like orange and red, mixture of orange and red. I don't know. So I use this shade from my Girl 3D blush palette. I just applied on the cheek. So I'm blending, moving from the cheek towards the temple. I'm not blending and coming down one. No, we're blending, moving from the cheek towards the temple, sorry. Then for highlighter, I'm using my spotless concealer, which is two shades. I wanted the under eye to be brighter, so I'm using my spotless concealer, which is not even two shades, one shade lighter than the skin. So I just apply around the under eye, the bridge of the nose, the forehead, and the chin. Then I use another clean side of my beauty sponge. So when you're using your beauty sponge, right, you should not just soil every section of it. So there should be one part that you're using for your foundation. You still use the same thing for the contour. You still use the same side with the blush. Then the other clean section, you use it now to do your to set the under eye, to highlight the under eye, because you using this side to do foundation, use the same thing to do blush, and coming to use it to highlight the under eye is going to like kind of change the color, right? So moving on. So to set the face, I'm using my Merak setting powder in the shade Ginger. All the highlighted area. Where the highlighted area, we have the under eye, the bridge of the nose, the forehead, the chin, right? So after setting the face with my setting powder, I wanted the under eye to be brighter again. So I still went in with my powder from my powder palette to just brighten up the under eye, right? So for the rest of the space, that is the blank spaces. So I'm using my powder from my powder palette again, which is exactly the shade as your skin tone. So I just apply uniformly all over the blank spaces. I just push gently into the skin, right? So after applying my powder, the next thing I'm going in with contouring. I actually forgot to do cream contour. I don't know is this makeup really my core? Because the way I keep forgetting things sometimes, like normally I was supposed to do the cream contour, but not to worry. If you don't do the cream contour, you could see the powder contour. That is what I'm doing now. So I'll contour the nose. After contouring the nose, we are going to go back to the area we previously contoured. We said makeup, everything cream. We have to go powder. We'll go back to the area we previously contoured. So I'm using my shade for my powder palette again, which is exactly the same shade. That's one shade darker than her skin, which is exactly the same shade I use for the cream contour. So after that, I use my setting spray, my face spray, to melt down the powder effect. We don't want the face to be looking whitish, right? We have to melt it down, let it look natural. So to bake, I'm using the same setting powder which I use in setting the face. That's the Merak setting powder in the shade ginger. So while baking, I left excess quantity of the setting powder around the under eye, such that every crease line will be taken care of, right? And every moisture will be absorbed. Excess eyeshadow fallout will be easily taken out. So moving on to brows, I always begin by laying down the hair using my brows gel. You could use hair wax. You could use any hair wax of your choice. So, but the thing is that it shouldn't contain so much oil. If not, if there's too much oil, when you do your brows, the brows will be looking oily, right? It will not be looking nice. So if you're using hair wax, it should be no oil. It should not contain oil. Or yeah, and also you have to use setting powder to set it right, so that every moisture, the oil can be absorbed. So after laying down the hair and then setting it with my setting powder, I'll start producing my outline using my flat angle brush from Issa and Do's makeup, and my brown brows gel from KR makeup. So I produce my outline for both sides. Then to fill in the brows, I'm using my Davis pencil in the shade 003 to produce tiny hair-like strokes, right? So to conceal the brows, always begin by concealing the beginning with my darker foundation and the rest of the section with the lighter concealer. So I'm using my spotless concealer, which is 2 shades lighter than her skin, to just conceal the rest of the section of the brows. Then for the beginning, I'm using my foundation. That's my ZK foundation, which is 1 shade darker than her skin. So after concealing, I use my fluffy brush to just blend in the excess concealer. So after blending it thoroughly, I'll just go again for the begin. I just go, as I started by concealing the highlighted area, the area I wanted to be highlighted, which I use my lighter concealer. So at this point, I'm now using my darker foundation, which is 1 shade darker than her skin, to just conceal the beginning, right? So after concealing it, blend it thoroughly with your fluffy brush. Then go in with powder. We don't want that area oily. So I'll go in with my powder from my powder palette. It's the same shade. Like for the beginning, I'll use a shade which is 1 shade darker for my powder palette. And for the rest of the section, I'll use 2 shades darker. So when I was done with that, I just went ahead to conceal the upper section, which I did off camera. Yeah. For eyeshadow, I started by placing my eyeshadow base on the eyeballs. Then I use my fluffy brush to blend in the eyeshadow, right? We want it to be smooth. We want it to be distributed uniformly. So I use my fluffy brush to blend in everything. So after thorough blending, I went into this orange shade from my Gorgeous Me eyeshadow palette. So I just apply around the crease line, that's blending from the outer corner moving towards the inner corner. Then I went in with this other shade which I apply again directly below it So I just blend from inner corner, outer corner. After which I finalize with this dark brown shade from my Blossom Makeup eyeshadow palette. So I use my fluffy brush to just blend in everything. That's it. So moving on, still from that Blossom Makeup eyeshadow palette, I went in now with this purple pigment from that eyeshadow palette. So I just applied beginning from the inner corner, right? I just applied just like the way I'm doing. So after doing that, next to the purple, I just went in with this other something like ox blood. It's not kind of, it's ox blood, but I don't know why it's not looking ox blood here. So after that, I just line my eye using my black brows pomade again from KR Makeup and my angle brush. So I did the mascara off camera. Normally after doing the eyeshadow, we have to apply mascara on the natural lashes such that it will not be looking whitish. Then I went in with my lashes. So after that again, I now went in with this pigment. This is it glitter? Yeah, from my Gorgeous Me eyeshadow palette. So the pigment already has glue in it. So it was not necessary for me to put the glue on the eyelid before going in with the pigment, since the pigment already has its glue fixed to it. So I just applied that. So I like putting my glitter right only after I must have lined the eye and done the eyeshadow, because if you want to start if you put it before you do that, to line the eye will become it will not really appear nice, and right, so it's best to do it this way. So after that, when I even put the eyelashes, my client started tearing up. But not to worry, if you are using good product, because of the Merak setting powder, it's so good. So I just relax, ask her to cry more, right? I just relaxed, started doing something else, started doing my lips, which I began by outlining, producing the outline, using the dark brown shade from KB lip stain. So after producing my outline, I just blended everything. Then I went in with this nude shade from my lip palette, right? So I was just waiting for the tears to dry up. So once it dry up, I'll just apply more setting powder on it. Then use my fluffy brush to just press in everything, right? So that's what happened. So each time your client is tearing up, always allow the tears to dry up. So whenever you're doing makeup and the client start having tears, just don't worry, just wait for the tears to dry up. Then you can use your setting powder again, just blending everything. So before I start pressing in the eyeshadow, the setting powder which I use in baking under the eye, I first of all started by dusting off the excess eyeshadow fallout using my fan brush. I did not know the name of that brush. Someone told me at the comment section. The name is fan brush. Yeah, I use my fan brush to dust it off. So after dusting off the excess eyeshadow fallout, I just use my big angle fluffy brush to press in the setting powder around the under eye or the big area. So after that, I went into my lips, which I began again. I just completed what I started. So I used that dark purple shade to just outline the lips. So after outlining, I'll use my small fluffy brush to just blend such that there'll be no harsh line. Then I use my Kiss Beauty setting spray, fix spray to melt down the powder effect again. So moving on, the next thing I'll be doing is to apply my highlighter, which I apply directly on the cheekbone. That is the line separating the blush and the highlighted area. So I just applied around the area, blending, moving towards the temple. Then after that, I use my big fan brush to blend in such that there'll be no harsh line. Then the next thing I did was to apply my clear lip gloss on the lips. So guys, finally I used my Super Seal Spray to lock in the makeup. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, and please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share. Bye.